Capitalism is how the world turns and keeps inventing a lot of new and shiny things. It's called greed. Companies are fueled by shareholders and making profits, and if they don't perform, they normally end up going bankrupt. Quick RIP to Toys R Us, but welcome back to Top5Central, where today we look at 5 massive companies that you've probably bought from before that are no longer here. Leave a like on the video if you hate how Toys R Us shut down, and comment one store you love that had to go out of business. Anyways, let's get right into it. Number 5. Toys R Us. Now, I don't know about you guys, but Toys R Us was a massive part of my childhood, and I'm guessing that applies to a lot of people watching as well. With that said, nothing good lasts forever, and a few months ago, it was announced that Toys R Us were going out of business for good. Here's what happened. Toys R Us filed for bankruptcy way back in 2017, and the reason was pretty simple. Kids just aren't buying toys anymore. Like, children these days want tablets and laptops and game consoles, so a store selling dollhouses and board games just wasn't cutting it. Anyway, after a year of struggling, the company just couldn't recover, and they decided that shutting everything down was the only way forward. Every location was closed, and hundreds of thousands of people were fired, without any severance pay or time to find another job. Saddest of all, a picture of Jeffrey the Toys R Us giraffe went viral, of him holding a suitcase and getting ready to leave the store. Here's hoping he's jetting off to the beach for retirement and not straight to the unemployment line with everyone else.
I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got the best for so much less, you really flip your lid. From bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is. Gee whiz! I don't want to grow up, 'cause baby, if I did, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid. More games, more toys, oh boy, I want to be a Toys R Us kid.
Number 4. Woolworths. Now here's the thing, depending on how old you are and where you live, most of you watching this video might not even know what Woolworths is. However, if you're the right age and live in the right place, you probably remember Woolworths as that place where you bought DVDs and super cheap pick and mix sweet. Anyway, the chain went under in 2009, and they had a huge sale to mark the end of it all. I mean, the store wasn't just selling CDs, bottles of soda, and clothes for literal pennies, but they were also selling the baskets people were putting their stuff in, as well as the lockers where their employees kept their stuff. Woolworths was actually founded in 1909, so seeing it close down over a century later was really sad for a lot of people. With that said, it was even sadder for the managers of the 200 stores that were shut, as well as the 27,000 other people who had to find new jobs.
This week during Woolworth Dollar Days, look for big price breaks all over the store. You can save 25% on these cuddly blanket sleepers to keep your little ones snug and warm. And save 50% on all goody hairbrushes and combs for everyone in your family. You'll also find lively Hearts parakeets priced at just $9.99. And this parakeet kit with cage at $17.99. All this week at Woolworth, where it pays to use your Discover card, the card that pays you back.
Number 3. Pan American World Airways. Supermarkets and other stores might be the things that go under most often, and they're the easiest things to notice since they literally vanish off the high street. With that said, they're not the only companies that struggle and have to shut down, and this next story proves it. I mean, Pan American World Airways is a name you probably haven't heard in a little while because they went bust at the end of 2016. The thing is, it was actually founded even further back in 1927, and it was riddled with problems right from the start. In fact, I actually feel kind of bad about this one, because so much of what caused this company to collapse wasn't their fault at all. Like, oil prices went crazy thanks to wars they had nothing to do with, and one of their planes was bombed, which made a lot of people change who they flew with. The company was even bought out by another airline, but when the two companies couldn't agree on a deal, thousands of employees found themselves fired when they thought they were just moving headquarters. Rough, am I right?
Who ever heard of an airline that goes around the world twice a day, every day?
Pan Am makes the going great.
Who ever heard of an airline with 87 first-class entrees?
Pan Am makes the going great.
Who ever heard of an airline with stewardesses from over 50 different countries?
Pan Am makes the going great.
Who ever ever heard of an airline with a waiting list for the moon?
Pan Am makes the going great.
The airline is the world's most experienced airline. The airline that's going places like you've never gone before.
Number 2, DeLorean. Everyone knows the name DeLorean. I mean, it's literally iconic. Not only was it the make of the car used in Back to the Future, but it's been name-dropped hundreds of times in pop culture, and is now one of the most famous things about the 1980s in general. So what exactly happened that caused this behemoth to close down? Well, the truth is that the company went through a bit of a rough patch, and by a rough patch, I mean bankruptcy. The company suffered from lack of demand and huge cost overruns, which led the owner to ask the UK government for money to keep the factories open. The government said they would if the owner could find other investors to match their contribution, but he couldn't, and this is where things get really crazy. Basically, Mr. DeLorean himself was found talking to undercover police officers about smuggling $25 million worth of cocaine into the United States. The thing is, when he was arrested, he was actually acquitted since the undercover cops had lied to him about being legitimate business people and forced him into the deal. He retired to the States and sold what was left of the company, but the scandal made it impossible to recover. Here's the thing though, the DeLorean brand is set to relaunch in January of 2019. Who knows what will happen? I mean, maybe this huge 80s name will finally return to its former glory.
The DeLorean. Gull-wing doors rise effortlessly, beckoning you inside. The sleek, stainless steel DeLorean. Beautifully crafted for long life. The DeLorean is one of the most awaited automobiles in automotive history. Drive the DeLorean. Live the dream today.
We got a couple quick honorable mentions, so starting us off, we have the famous photography company Kodak. Speaking of legendary companies that just couldn't keep up with the times, Kodak basically invented modern photography, but it still managed to fall far enough behind to go bankrupt in 2012. Like, it doesn't matter that they invented the first digital camera in 1975 or the first DSLR in 1989. It just wasn't enough to keep their stores open or their employees on the payroll. So how did they fall so far? Well, it's simple actually. Most people stopped taking pictures with cameras instead of their phones, and those that still use cameras weren't printing them. Like, everyone nowadays shares pictures on Instagram and Facebook, and having an actual photo album in your own house is pretty unusual. Kodak saw that coming, but kept their focus on printing, which made them so irrelevant that they had no choice but to close their doors. The whole thing is made even sadder by the fact that Facebook bought Instagram just a few months earlier in the same year, a move that could have saved Kodak if they realized what was going on.
Now you can get great pictures from a one-time use camera. The Kodak Max HQ. It's the only camera of its kind with an Ektanar lens. So you get the sharpest pictures of any one-time use camera. Because great pictures can make a special day even better.
Hey, what's this? Share the moment, share life.
For our quick second honorable mention, we have Payne Weber. Just starting out though, I guess his company wasn't technically destroyed, but since it didn't get to keep its name or its brand, it's going on the list anyway. Payne Weber isn't a huge childhood name like Toys R Us or Woolworths is for some people, but it was a major player as far as finance goes, and now it's almost completely gone. It was founded in 1880, and then was almost wrecked by a huge fraud scandal. Then it came back bigger and stronger than ever in the 1930s, and from there it just kept growing. I mean, it expanded in the 1980s, and then again in the 1990s, and by 2000 it had almost 400 offices and 9,000 stockbrokers. Sounds great, I know, but when they tried to grow again by merging with another company, everything went wrong. Tons of brokers left the firm with their clients, so the merger didn't make anywhere near as much money as it should have done, so they were forced to merge again, this time losing their name and their identity to the new company.
We both talked about it for years. Opening your own business, moving someplace where you can actually watch your kids grow up. But I'm still here, and she's there. I thought I was doing pretty well. I've got a She must be doing better than that. What does she have that I don't have?
Payne Weber.
Number 1. Blockbuster. So when you think of stores that used to be everywhere but are all gone now, what do you think of? Because I don't know about you, but the first name that comes to my mind is definitely Blockbuster. To be honest, I don't even have to explain why they shut down, because it's pretty obvious that they couldn't have survived much longer. I mean, the sad but real truth is that nobody buys DVDs anymore, let alone rents them, and most people go on Netflix or Hulu if they want to watch a movie. Anyway, the store went into administration in 2013 after suffering for years, and waited a year to try and find a new buyer. Nobody wanted to jump on the sinking ship, so Blockbuster started closing stores one by one, finally calling it a day completely in 2014. It was a sad loss for everyone who grew up renting DVDs on a weekend, and even sadder for the older people who remembered renting VHS tapes, but it just goes to show that if you can't keep up with the times, you're gonna get left behind.
Imagine the perfect video store. It would have a great selection, right? Right! Over 10,000 videos. 3 evening rentals, so no rush, no hassle. Fast checkout. 24-hour quick drop return. Open late every night. Well, the perfect video store
Welcome to Blockbuster Video.
is popping up all over the country. There's one near you.
Blockbuster Video. Wow, what a difference.
And there's our video on the top 5 massive companies that got destroyed. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It's completely free and it really helps us make new videos. Also, if you have your own top 5 or top 10 video idea you'd like us to post, make sure to use our handy form down in the description to submit it. With that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll see you all in the next video.